The history of Bangladesh dates back over 4 millennia to the Chalcolithic period. The region's early history was characterized by a succession of Hindu and Buddhist kingdoms and empires that fought for control over the Bengal region. Islam arrived in the 8th century and gradually became dominant from the early 13th century with the conquests led by Bakhtiyar Khalji and the activities of Sunni missionaries like Shah Jalal. Muslim rulers promoted the spread of Islam by building mosques across the region. From the 14th century onward, Bengal was ruled by the Bengal Sultanate, founded by Fakhruddin Mubarak Shah, who established an individual currency. The Bengal Sultanate expanded under rulers like Shamsuddin Ilyas Shah, leading to economic prosperity and military dominance, with Bengal being referred to by Europeans as the richest country to trade with. The region later became a part of the Mughal Empire, and according to historian C.A. Bailey, it was probably the empire's wealthiest province. Following the decline of the Mughal Empire in the early 1700s, Bengal became a semi-independent state under the Nawabs of Bengal, ultimately led by Siraj-ud-Dawla. It was later conquered by the British East India Company after the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Bengal played a crucial role in the Industrial Revolution in Britain, but also faced significant deindustrialization. The Bengal Presidency was established during British rule. The borders of modern Bangladesh were established with the partition of Bengal between India and Pakistan during the Partition of India in August 1947, when the region became East Pakistan as part of the newly formed State of Pakistan following the end of the British rule in the region. The proclamation of Bangladeshi independence in March 1971 led to the 9-month-long Bangladesh Liberation War, which culminated in the emergence of the People's Republic of Bangladesh. Independence was declared in 1971. Since gaining independence, Bangladesh has faced political instability, economic reconstruction, and social transformation. The country experienced military coups and authoritarian rule, notably under General Ziaur Rahman and General Hussein Muhammad Ershad. The restoration of parliamentary democracy in the 1990s saw power alternate between the Awami League and the Bangladesh Nationalist Party. In recent decades, Bangladesh has achieved significant economic growth, emerging as one of the world's fastest-growing economies, driven by its garment industry, remittances, and infrastructure development. However, it continues to grapple with political instability, human rights issues, and the impact of climate change. The return of the Awami League to power in 2009 under Sheikh Hasina, as leadership saw economic progress but criticisms of authoritarianism. Bangladesh has played a critical role in addressing regional issues, including the Rohingya refugee crisis, which has strained its resources and highlighted its humanitarian commitments. It is believed that there were movements of Indo-Aryans, Dravidians, and Mongoloids, including a people called Vanga, into Bengal. There is weak evidence for a prehistoric human presence in the region. There is scant evidence of a human presence during the Neolithic and Chalcolithic eras. This could be because of the shifts in the river's courses. The Bengali climate and geography is not suitable for tangible archaeological remains. Due to lack of stones, the early humans in Bengal probably used materials such as wood and bamboo that could not survive in the environment. South Asian archaeologists have tended to focus on other parts of the subcontinent. Archaeologists interested in Bengal have focused on more recent history. West Bengal holds the earliest evidence of settled agrarian societies. Agricultural success gave ground in the 5th century BCE for a stationary culture and the emergence of towns, cross-sea trade, and the earliest polities. Archaeologists have uncovered a port at Wari Bachwar, which traded with ancient Rome and Southeast Asia. The archaeologists have discovered coinage, pottery, iron artifacts, bricked road, and a fort in Wari Bateshwar. The findings suggest that the area was an important administrative hub, which had industries such as iron smelting and valuable stone beads. The site shows widespread use of clay. The clay and bricks were used to build walls. The most famous terracotta plaques made by clay are from Chandrakaturga and depicts deities and scenes of nature and ordinary life. Himatsat, the early coinage discovered in War Betshwar and Chandrakatugar, West Bengal, India, depict boats. Archaeological excavations in Bangladesh revealed evidences of the northern black polished ware, NBPW or NBP, culture of the Indian subcontinent, c. 500–200 BC, which was an Iron Age culture developed beginning around 700 BC and peaked from c. 500–300 BC, coinciding with the emergence of 16 great states or Mahajanapadas in northern India and the subsequent rise of the Mauryan Empire. Well-developed towns had emerged by 300 BCE, such as Tamralipti, present-day Tamluk, West Bengal, India, Mahastan, and Mainamati. Instead of the seaside, main towns sprang up by the riversides. Mahastan contains the earliest piece of writing in Bangladesh, a stone inscription. It indicates that the site was an important town in the Maurya Empire. Mahastan is believed to have then been a provincial center. The inscription, in Prakrit, apparently contains a command to stock up supplies in case of an emergency. The inscription is called the Mahastan Brahmi inscription. Bengal was the eastern frontier of the Mauryan Empire. Western Bengal, with its port of Tamralipti, achieved importance under the Mauryas. A prominent view in scholarship is that the Mauryan and Gupta empires exercised authority over most parts of the Bengal Delta. The incomplete evidence which exists suggests that Bengal's western rather than eastern regions were parts of larger empires. The ancient zones in Bengal were the Bhagirathi Hooghly Basin, Harikela, Samatata, Vanga, and Virendra. Vanga is believed to be central Bengal. Harikela and Samatata were apparently Bengal's eastern zones, and Virendra was northern Bengal. The names of sites indicate that Tibeto-Burman, Austro-Asiatic, and Dravidian languages were spoken by the majority of people. Indo-European languages became prominent from 400 BCE. The Vanga kingdom was a powerful seafaring nation of ancient Bengal. They had overseas trade relations with Java, Sumatra, and Siam, modern-day Thailand. According to Mahavamsa, the Vanga prince Vijaya Singha conquered Lanka, modern-day Sri Lanka, in 544 BC and gave the name Sinhala to the country. Bengali people migrated to the maritime Southeast Asia and Siam in modern Thailand, establishing their own settlement there. Though North and West Bengal were part of the empire, southern Bengal thrived and became powerful with her overseas trades. In 326 BCE, with the invasion of Alexander the Great, the region again came to prominence. The Greek and Latin historians suggested that Alexander the Great withdrew from India, anticipating the valiant counterattack of the Gangaridai Empire that was located in the Bengal region. Alexander, after the meeting with his officer, Conus, was convinced that it was better to return. Diodorus Siculus mentions Gangaridai to be the most powerful empire in India. One account of the origins of the Nandas are them being represented as the lord of both Prasioi and the Gangaridai, or of Gangaridai alone. The description of Prasioi was a general name for the people of eastern India, so the specific mention of Gangaridai attaches significance. The importance of Gangaridai, or the Vanga people, Lower Bengal, may be explained by the suggestion of the Nanda dynasty belonging to them. Bengal was left on its own after Mauryan power declined. Little is known of the period after that, although parts of Bengal were probably under the Pataliputra-based Sangha dynasty. During this time, Pundra was still a significant Buddhist location. Local rulers retained power while paying tribute to the Gupta Empire in the 300s and 400s. The Bengal Delta became the kingdom of Samatata, its hub near the contemporary Chandpur. A Gupta inscription indicates that the Gupta Empire possessed influence in Samatata without ruling it directly. Bengal remained a frontier despite its rare associations with the Indian heartland. Several dynasties changed during the next few centuries. While not much information is available about them, plates and other forms of evidence obtained from the Comilla district indicate that Gopachandra ruled the area in the early 500s. The Khargas became rulers in the next century. They were followed by the Deva dynasty, Harikela kingdom, Chandras, and the Varmans. They were based in different sites of the Comilla district and Dhaka district as Vikrampur. Around that time, Bengalis first ruled in Virendra. Gaur was ruled by Sasanka in the early 600s. He was based in Karnasuvarna, in modern-day Murshidabad district. Contemporary Chinese reports and coinage suggest that he was a firm Shaivite who was vehemently opposed to Buddhism. Opposition to Buddhism and a commitment to Brahmanism apparently continued under the Sura dynasty, founded by Adisura around 700 CE. Around the middle of the 8th century, a firm Buddhist, Gopala, assumed power in Bengal, possibly supported by Buddhist chiefs who were opposed to the effects of the Suras and Sasanka as faithful Brahmanism. During this time, the kingdoms of the Bay of Bengal were trading with the nations of nearby South Asia and Southeast Asia, thereby exporting Buddhism into Sri Lanka to the south and both Hinduism and Buddhism into Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and the Philippines to the east. By the 6th century, the Gupta Empire, which ruled over the northern Indian subcontinent, had largely broken up. Eastern Bengal splintered into the kingdoms of Vanga, Samatata, and Harikela, while the Gauda kings rose in the west with their capital at Karnasuvarna, near modern Murshidabad. Shashanka, a vassal of the last Gupta emperor, proclaimed independence and unified the smaller principalities of Bengal, Gaur, Vanga, Samatata. He vied for regional power with Harshavardhana in northern India after treacherously murdering Harsha's elder brother Rajavardhana. Harsha's continuous pressure led to the gradual weakening of the Gauda kingdom founded by Shashanka, and finally ended with his death. With the overthrow of Manava, his son, Bengal descended into a period marked by disunity and intrude once more. The Pala Empire ruled Bengal until the middle of the 12th century, expanded Bengali power to its farthest extent, and supported Buddhism. It was the first independent Buddhist dynasty of Bengal. The name Pala, Bengali, Pal, means protector, and was used as an ending to the names of all Pali monarchs. The Palas were followers of the Mahayana and Tantric schools of Buddhism. Gopala was the first ruler from the dynasty. He came to power in 750 in Gaur after being elected by a group of feudal chiefs. He reigned from 750 to 770 and consolidated his position by extending his control over all of Bengal. He was succeeded by Dharmapala. The Palas promoted Buddhism and opposed Brahmanism. They provided support to Buddhist universities in Vikramashila and Nalanda. During the Pala dynasty, the Vajrayana was developed in Bengal and introduced to Tibet. The Palas patronized the arts. The empire reached its peak under Dharmapala and Devapala. Dharmapala extended the empire into the northern parts of the Indian subcontinent. This triggered once more for the control of the subcontinent. Devapala, successor of Dharmapala, expanded the empire considerably. The Pala inscriptions credit him with extensive conquests in hyperbolic language. The Baidal pillar inscription of his successor Narayana Pala states that he became the suzerain, monarch or Chakravarti of the whole tract of northern India bounded by the Vindhyas and the Himalayas. It also states that his empire extended up to the two oceans, presumably the Arabian Sea and the Bay of Bengal. It also claims that Devpala defeated Utkala, present-day Orissa, the Hunas, the Dravidas, the Kamarupa, present-day Assam, the Kambojas, and the Gurjaras. Historian B.P. Sinha wrote that these claims about Devapala's victories are exaggerated, but cannot be dismissed entirely. Besides, the neighboring kingdoms of Rashtrakutas and the Gurjara Pratiharas were weak at the time, which might have helped him extend his empire. Devapala is also believed to have led an army up to the Indus River in Punjab Devapala shifted the capital from Mongar to Pataliputra. Although they were Bengali, the dynasty considered the Ganges Valley as the center of its power. The dynasty's power declined after Devapala's death. During the rule of Mahipala III, the South Indian Chola dynasty challenged the Palas. During the later part of Pala rule, Rajendra Chola of the Chola Empire frequently invaded Bengal from 1021 to 1023 to get Ganges water, and in the process succeeded in humbling the rulers and acquiring considerable booty. The rulers of Bengal who were defeated by Rajendra Chola were Dharmapal, Ranasur, and Govindachandra of the Kandra dynasty, who might have been feudatories under Mahipala of the Pala dynasty. The invasion by the South Indian ruler Vikramaditya VI of the Western Chalukya Empire brought his countrymen from Karnataka into Bengal, which explains the southern origin of the Sena dynasty. Around the 1150s, the Palas lost power to the Senas. The Chandra dynasty were a family who ruled over the kingdom of Harikela in eastern Bengal, comprising the ancient lands of Harikela, Vanga, and Samatata, for roughly a century and a half from the beginning of the 10th century CE. Their empire also encompassed Vanga and Samatata, with Srichandra expanding his domain to include parts of Kamarupa. Their empire was ruled from their capital, Vikrampur, modern Munshiganj, and was powerful enough to militarily withstand the Pala Empire to the northwest. The last ruler of the Chandra dynasty, Govindachandra, was defeated by the South Indian Emperor Rajendra Chola II of the Chola dynasty in the 11th century. The Sena dynasty started around 1095 but only finally defeated the Palas around 1150. They apparently originated in Karnataka. Vijayasena took control of northern and western Bengal, removed the Palas from the former regions, and based his rule in Nadia. The greatest ruler from the dynasty was Lakshmanasena. He established the dynasty's writ in Orissa and Benares. In 1202, Ikhtiaruddin Muhammad Bakhtiyar Khalji took Nadia from the Senas, already having taken Bihar. Lakshmanasena left for Vikrampur in southeastern Bengal. His sons inherited the dynasty, which came to an end around 1245 because of feudal revolts and Muslim pressure. The dynasty has been staunchly Brahminist and had attempted to restore Brahmanism to Bengal. They also established the system of Kulinism in Bengal, through which higher caste males could take lower caste brides and enhance the status of these women as children. Some postulate that the dynasty's suppression of Buddhism became a cause for the conversions to Islam, especially in eastern Bengal. The Deva kingdom was a Hindu dynasty of medieval Bengal that ruled over eastern Bengal after the collapse Sena Empire. The capital of this dynasty was Bikrampur, in present-day Munshiganj district of Bangladesh. The inscriptional evidence show that his kingdom was extended up to the present-day Komila Noakhali, Chittagong region. A later ruler of the dynasty, Ariraja Danuja Madhava Dasharath Adeva, extended his kingdom to cover much of East Bengal. The Delhi Sultanate's governors, then by independent sultanates, and then was under the rule of the Mughal Empire. While Muslims had advanced into Sindh in the 700s, it was in Afghanistan that the ultimate Muslim conquest of South Asia originated from, starting with the raids by Mahmud of Ghazni in the early 11th century. The Afghanistan-based Ghurids replaced the Ghaznavids and they expanded into the Ganges region. As part of this eastward expansion, Ikhtiaruddin Muhammad Bakhtiyar Khan defeated the Palas in Bihar and in 1202 was victorious over the Senas in Nadia. In 1206, the Delhi Sultanate was created. It was not a true dynasty, but the rulers was known as Mamluk. The Sultanate continued till the 1290. The conquest of Nadia did not entail swift conversions to Islam. The authority of the Senas persisted in Vikrampur till 1245, and a large part of eastern Bangladesh had neither been conquered nor converted. 4 dynasties based in Delhi succeeded the slave dynasty. The Khaljis ruled from 1290 to 1320. The Tughlaq dynasty's rule lasted until 1413. Sayyid rule ran from 1414 to 1451. The Lodi dynasty ruled in the 1451–1526 period, but the writ of the Delhi Sultanate had been weak in its outer regions, and Bengal, like other similar areas, turned into an independent region. Shamsuddin Ilyas Shah became the ruler of independent Bengal in 1342, and his dynasty ruled until 1486, barring a short interlude. He had come to power after a Bengali revolt against the Tughlaq dynasty's governor. Shamsuddin drove up the Ganges to contest Tughlaq rule. The Tughlaqs, in return, drove Ilyas Shah out of Pandua into eastern Bengal. Shamsuddin reclaimed Pandua and continued ruling Bengal. Shamsuddin's heir repelled Tughlaq incursions and, like his predecessor, expanded the dynasty's authority into Bihar. The dynasty constructed grand buildings in Pandua. They built India's biggest mosque, the Adina Mosque. Richard Eaton cites diplomatic accounts about the grandeur of Pandua's buildings. Eaton observes the influence of both Islamic and pre-Islamic Persian courts. Hindu landlords possessed a large quantity of land even under the Muslim rulers. The Hindu domination was opposed by the Muslim leadership, exemplified by the Farisi campaign and leaders like Titu Mir in the 1800s. When the dynasty's third ruler died in 1410, there was a conflict over the throne. Raja Ganesh, who was a Hindu feudal, used the successorship conflict to seize control of Bengal. He repelled an incursion on Bengal by the Jaunpur Sultanate in North India. His son, Jalaluddin Muhammad Shah, who embraced Islam, and then his grandson ruled after him. In 1433, the latter was assassinated, and the Ilyas Shahi dynasty was restored. The dynasty began importing Abyssinian slaves. This population became more significant. They became so important that in 1486, an Abyssinian, Barbakshazada, seized power from Jalaluddin Fateh Shah. Barbakshazada's dynasty was short, lasting for the next 7 years. The last Abyssinian ruler, Shamsuddin Muzaffar Shah, lost power to the Arab principal minister Alauddin Hussein. The initiation in 1493 of the Hussein Shahi dynasty brought a period which has been considered Bengal's golden age. The government was genuinely Bengali, and while land ownership remained concentrated in Hindu hands, both religious groups had pivotal roles in the government. The Sultanate expanded to acquire Cooch Behar and Kamrup. The Sultanate also dominated Orissa, Tripura, and the Arakan region. Babur defeated the Lodis at Panipat in 1526, and the Mughals established India's greatest state since the time of the Mauryas. But during Shah Suri's rebellion against the second Mughal ruler Humayun, he triumphed over the Hussein Shahi dynasty's Ghiyasuddin Mahmud Shah in 1538, thus bringing an end to the independent status of Bengal. For a short time, Humayun ruled Gaur. Bengal, along with other parts of eastern India, was ruled by Shah Suri. He implemented many reforms, such as introducing parganas. These were land survey-based local tax units. He is most famous for designing the Grand Trunk Road between Chittagong and Punjab. Humayun retook Delhi in 1556, but the Suris continued ruling Bengal until 1564, when they were replaced by the Karani dynasty. Like the Suris, they were not native to Bengal. They had been raiders whom the Mughal armies had driven eastwards.